Okay, let's jump right in. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tackling the ultimate everyday question. Why do prices go up and down? Now, before we really get going, a massive shout out to the creator of today's visual journey. This brilliant presentation was prepared by Hanim Binti Abdul Rahim from Polytechnic Metro Johor Bahru. They've put together an absolutely incredible breakdown of microeconomics, and we're going to use these core concepts to unpack the hidden economic forces that literally dictate the prices you and I pay every single day.
So think about it. We see this happening all the time, right? Whether you're buying groceries for the week or just grabbing a quick bite. Have you ever wondered why the cost of your favorite everyday items, like, say, a local nasi lemak from the stall down the street, constantly fluctuates? One week it's one price, and the next week, boom, it's slightly more. What is actually driving that?
Well, to figure this out, we first have to look at things from our own perspective as buyers. Economists simply call this demand, but the precise definition is absolutely crucial here. Economic demand isn't just you wishing you had something. I mean, you might want a luxury sports car, so you have demand, right? Actually, scratch that. If you can't afford it, that is not economic demand. It's only true demand when your desire is combined with your real, actual financial ability to purchase it at a specific price in a given time frame. You gotta have the cash in hand.
And that brings us to a super fundamental rule, the law of demand. It's actually really straightforward. Assuming all else is equal, when the price of a good goes up, the quantity demanded goes down. It's a totally inverse, negative relationship. I mean, just think about our own lives. When things suddenly get expensive, we naturally tighten our belts, we reevaluate our budgets, and we just buy less. It makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Let's make this real with a quick, everyday scenario. Imagine you're super hungry on your morning commute, and the price at your absolute favorite local nasi lemak stall has suddenly spiked. As that price climbs higher and higher, the overall quantity demanded shrinks right along with it. If your go-to breakfast suddenly costs way more, what would you instinctively do? Exactly. Your demand for that specific stall's food drops immediately. So why does it drop? Well, because as rational shoppers, we're likely just going to walk a bit farther down the street and seek a cheaper alternative. This brilliantly illustrates the substitute goods effect. When that first stall gets way too pricey, the demand for a substitute, like a nearby tea stall or just a different vendor entirely, immediately shoots up. People simply swap out the pricey option for a relatively cheaper one. At the end of the day, cheaper substitutes almost always win our wallets when prices spike. But hey, price actually isn't the whole story. Massive external factors can totally shift our entire demand curve, too. Think about the weather. We obviously buy way more umbrellas during the monsoon season, right? Or population size. More people literally means a greater structural demand for food. And of course, your own income. If you suddenly get a promotion and earn a higher salary, your demand for normal goods shifts entirely. You buy more clothes, nicer furniture, maybe extra nasi lemak simply because your overall purchasing power just leveled up.
Okay, let's pause for a quick mid-explainer quiz. I want to challenge you right now, so really think about this. Let's completely flip the script and switch hats. Instead of the buyer, pretend you are the entrepreneur running that nasi lemak stall. Word gets out, and the general market price people are suddenly willing to pay for your dish goes way, way up. How do you react? Just take a second. What would you do?
Got your answer? The correct move is your supply rises. As a seller, you naturally scramble to capitalize on those higher profits. You're probably going to wake up earlier, cook a massive batch of rice, and wrap way more packets, simply because every extra unit you sell at that new higher price brings in more profit for you. And that flips our perspective to the other side of the counter, the seller's hustle. So the crucial point here is defining the law of supply, which works in the exact opposite way to demand. It is a positive, direct relationship. When the market price of a good goes up, sellers naturally want to supply way more of it. It perfectly highlights that seller's hustle. Higher prices generally mean higher potential profits, which heavily incentivizes businesses to ramp up their production. Now, it's important to understand how we visualize this hustle. When we change just the product's own price, we're merely sliding up or down the existing supply line. It's just an expansion or a contraction. The price changes, so the quantity adjusts, but the underlying business conditions themselves haven't actually changed at all. But what happens when powerful outside forces step in? Well, the entire supply curve physically shifts to a whole new position. This happens when something other than price changes. For example, if our nasi lemak vendor invests in a high-tech commercial cooker, they can make more food faster and cheaper. That shifts the whole line, meaning an overall increase in supply regardless of what the current price point is.
So what are these critical determinants? Well, the level of technology is a huge one, as we just saw, but so are production costs. If the price of raw cooking oil absolutely skyrockets, it becomes significantly harder for our vendor to operate, and supply drops. Government policies, like new taxes on businesses, can severely limit supply, while subsidies can expand it. It's a constant balancing act of outside factors making it easier or harder to run the business. Now get this, there is a truly fascinating exception to this rule in the labor market. It's called the backward bending supply curve. At lower wages, a pay bump totally encourages you to work more hours. That's the substitution effect. But if wages get extremely high, people actually start working fewer hours. Crazy, right? Why? Because of the income effect. Eventually, we just start valuing our leisure time and rest way more than we value grabbing that extra cash. It's a really interesting twist. Section 3, Sweet Spot Market Equilibrium. So, let's define this equilibrium. As you might guess, market equilibrium is that absolute perfect intersection where the buyer and the seller meet. It's where the exact quantity that consumers want to buy perfectly matches the amount producers are willing to sell. When demand perfectly meets supply, we lock in a single, stable market price. Everybody wins. The vendor sells out just as the very last customer in line gets their food. But what happens when this delicate dance fails? Let's expand on this, because it creates total economic chaos. If a business sets the price too low, significantly below that equilibrium sweet spot, demand goes through the roof. But the seller doesn't want to make enough to satisfy it at that cheap price. That creates a shortage. On the flip side, if they get greedy and set the price way too high, buyers refuse to pay. But the vendor has cooked a mountain of food hoping to strike it rich. That triggers a massive surplus. Let's ground this economic chaos in local reality. A shortage? That means massive, angry nasi lemak queues wrapped around the block. You finally get to the front and it's just empty pots. No food left because the price was too low and demand was insane. A surplus? Well, that's a tragic pile of unsold, wasted food packets sitting on the counter at the end of the day because the price was just too high for anyone to justify buying it. Finding that equilibrium is all about avoiding both of those nightmares. Which brings us to a final provocative question I really want to leave you with today. With buyers and sellers locked in this endless dance, constantly reacting to income, weather, new tech, and substitutes, who do you think really holds the ultimate power over the prices you pay every single day? Is it the business deciding what to write on the price tag? Or is it you, the buyer, choosing whether or not to actually hand over your hard-earned cash? Definitely something to chew on the next time you're at the market, right? I really hope this explainer has completely leveled up your microeconomics knowledge and made those invisible forces of supply and demand visible for you. A huge thanks again to Hanim Benti Abdul Rahim and Polytechnic Metro Johar Baru for the phenomenal source material today. Keep questioning the world around you, keep learning, and thank you for watching.